Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now February 1st of 2023. It's crazy how fast time is just flying by. We got 1 month until The Mandalorian Season 3 finally drops on Disney+, the long-awaited season by Jon and Dave Filoni that's really going to set everything up for Mando Season 4, that's really going to hold the big-time revelations for many characters out there like Luke, Grogu, and others as well involved in the story. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing that a lot of fans have been very skeptical about is everything that there has to do with the Acolyte and Skeleton Crew by Kathleen Kennedy. As you all know, those two productions have been the most toxic under LUCASFILM in Star Wars history, and it really has been causing a lot of problems with the cast and the crew. Now, of course, looking at what Jon and Dave are creating is a lot more positive. It keeps the fans very optimistic about the future, and myself included. Now, given that Jon and Dave, they are preparing to make a lot of big-time announcements at Celebration and D23, they also are preparing to do some big reveals before then, so get ready later this month to see quite a handful of teases for Mando Season 3, and even, of course, for new and upcoming projects. But I digress. What's really intriguing about what's going on over at Lucasfilm has to do with bringing Star Wars back to the theaters, creating movies again, and really just kind of exploring all of their options. Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, a lot of fans want Star Wars back in the theaters again. Now, of course, there's a handful of fans, too, that don't want Star Wars back in theaters. I understand that. It's expensive, it can be very pricey, and it may not be the most affordable option. However, of course, what's even all the more exciting is that with George Lucas now heavily involved with Jon and Dave and the new slate of Star Wars shows and films in the works, it's noted that he is now involved with the new sequel trilogy movies that are currently in development. Jon and Dave have been creating several notes for the upcoming new sequel trilogy that is going to have a system of focusing on Luke Skywalker, Ezra Bridger, and Ahsoka as the new trio of the story where Din Djarin, Grogu, and Boba Fett will be a part of the other side of the story. The structure of this new trilogy is described to be a true adaptation of Heir to the Empire trilogy mixed with the new Jedi Order books and the new canon, and focusing on a brand new war led by Grand Admiral Thrawn and his forces, as well as new Dark Jedi as some of the new villains. Now, though Heir to the Empire content will be used in the Ahsoka series, much of it will be saved for this planned new sequel trilogy for the franchise that will expand Luke Skywalker's story greatly, as well as Ezra and Ahsoka's. So let me stop right here for a second. Now, we've talked about this lightly a couple of times, that Disney and Lucasfilm are planning to create a new series of films that will be treated as a new sequel trilogy. Basically, this is their game plan to give the fans a second chance at watching post-Return of the Jedi content on the big screen again. And though it is a trilogy that's set in between the original and the true sequels, or the sequels that already exist, I should say, but this one in particular is going to be more true to the fan base and more true to Legends and what the fans actually wanted to see and love to actually watch. So basically what's happening is that the structure of this new trilogy format is it's going to be a big adaptation of the Heir to the Empire books from the 1990s by Timothy Zahn, and mixing that together with the Mandalorian canon. And that's why you're going to have characters like Ezra Bridger, Ahsoka, Din, Grogu, and Boba thrown in there. And it's going to be a very interesting dynamic because it's going to be 3 separate stories in these movies. You're going to have the side of Grand Admiral Thrawn and his Dark Jedi. The other side of the story is Luke, Ahsoka, and Ezra. Then the other is, of course, Din, Boba, and Grogu. These are all being done through notes right now by Jon and Dave that are being finalized to be used in future scripts for these movies, and it's forming very well. So basically, this is what Jon Favreau wanted to do believe it or not, a long time ago when he first signed on for LUCASFILM to take care of Star Wars, is that he himself wanted to do Star Wars Mandalorian movies that would actually expand everything. So anyways, moving on to the next big thing here is this. Now George is going to be involved in co-writing this new sequel trilogy and will be approving certain story elements that will be overlooked by Timothy Zahn, who created the Thrawn trilogy back in the 1990s. These new sequel trilogy films are also going to have a very high budget and will also be bringing back other familiar faces such as Leia, Han Solo, and even Ben Solo. This is George, John, and Dave's way of combining Legends lore with some of the existing canon for the fans to see on the big screen again. This is also said to be Disney's way and Hail Mary of giving fans new sequel trilogy movies without deleting the existing ones to make things up to the fans on the big screen. So, let me pause here for a second. Now, do I think that this is going to truly fix anything? Do I think that this is really going to drag fans back into the theaters? Yes, I do. I do believe so. If it's executed very well, if it's going to look very attractive to the fan base, it's going to bring fans into the theaters. Because let's face it, fans love Luke Skywalker, they love characters like Ahsoka and Ezra and stuff like that. And they love characters like Thrawn as a villain. And it's why the Ahsoka series is so anticipated. And I can see how this new series of films could really attract a large audience. Now, again, like I said before, it's going to be interesting to see, by the time these arrive, how many people are going to go out to the theaters. You know, some fans out there have openly said before in the comments below that they have no intentions of going to the theaters again, and because of the prices and because of how much it really can be for a full family and stuff like that, and it's cheaper just to stream. But at the same exact time, I still stand by my opinion that Star Wars truly belongs in the theaters, at least as the main thing, with shows being, of course, more of a supplement or a side thing. That's the system of how it should be in a way. Because when you look at it like this, when you go to the theater, it's a true immersive experience. You're seeing it on a big screen, you have great surround sound, you're watching it with other fans, you're getting reactions. I mean, there's just something about it that feels special. You know, especially when you got your tickets, for example, to see The Force Awakens when it was first coming out. Do you guys remember that real exciting feeling of like just going somewhere that felt like a big time event? That's what Disney and Lucasfilm want to do again, and that's their game plan, of course, with these new sequel trilogy movies that are basically going to be Mandalorian movies, a Mandalorian trilogy, but continuing the Skywalker saga, so to speak. So, moving on, guys, I'm very much intrigued to hear what each and every one of you guys have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.